Now, over the weekend, Trump posted a fake AI-generated video showing the FBI arresting former President Barack Obama.
Let's be real, if Trump's tweeting fake FBI arrests and AI mugshots of Obama, you know the Epstein files are cooking something he doesn't want you to smell.
In that video, which we will not broadcast tonight, the New York Times writes, quote, Trump looks on smiling while the song YMCA by the Village People plays. Later, the fake video shows Obama in an orange jumpsuit pacing in a cell. We should note, Donald Trump is the one with the mugshot and the only president to have been convicted on 34 felony counts. You see, Donald Trump, facts like that don't matter.
He's the only president with a mugshot, 34 felonies, and still playing dress-up dictator. What's next? AI videos of him giving himself the Medal of Honor.
He spreads this nonsense knowing a large portion of his MAGA base will just engage and eat it up with all of those unfounded conspiracies. Trump can't just turn off this spigot of lies when he wants to. And when it comes to Epstein, a significant portion of his voters expect Trump to deliver, even when the facts are not on their side.
MAGA logic, if reality doesn't cooperate, just deepfake your fantasy. Who needs facts when you've got filters and a fan base allergic to truth?
Joining us now is Will Sommer, senior reporter for The Bulwark and author of Trust the Plan, The Rise of QAnon and the Conspiracy That Unhinged America, and Tim O'Brien, senior executive editor for Bloomberg Opinion and an MSNBC political analyst.
You both are amazing for being here. Will, I will note, I did just get your false flag newsletter as we were sitting here. I'm like, I don't think he pressed send himself. Let me just, on this video, because that's where Michael started. I think that this video was in incitement disguised as content. And it often is. And I think that Donald Trump shares these things, and it's like a bat signal to his supporters. And I will remind people that the folks who were convicted of, some of them of insurrection, some of them of lesser crimes for being at the Capitol on January 6th to disrupt the peaceful transition of power, the certification of the election, those who were in jail, Donald Trump pardoned them all at the beginning of this term. So what? Dispel me of this notion. Am I wrong here? Should I not be concerned that the president seems to be putting out a clarion call to his own little personal militia?
No, I think that's a great point, Simone. I mean, we look at, let's see, the MAGA bomber way back when, January 6th, all of these other and smaller incidents as well.
Call it what it is, digital dog whistles for real-world violence. January 6th wasn't a fluke. It was a feature of Trumpism 2.0.
And now the people, we have the administration, Trump saying, these people need to be arrested, sedition, traitors. I mean, it's not hard to imagine that this could incite violence.
Okay, so my side of the brain goes here. If I'm a Dem operative, you know what I do? I take that video and I have it as a subset, right? And I take as a frame of Obama in the cell and all the other images. And then I do the exact same video with Donald Trump's face. In the end, you either have a full screen or sound over that says, but only one of these is a convicted felon. My point is,
Barack got memes, Trump got mugshots. Let that sink in while the MAGA crowd's still yelling witch hunt with a straight face.
Something like this, very much to your point.
Yes, take me where you're going.
Well, you didn't see that? I mean, it's fighting political fire with political fire.
There was someone who was arrested outside of President Obama's home not a couple months ago, and with the materials in this person's vehicle to bound and tie him up. So I just think,
I understand. I know. I hear what you're saying there, but I'm just saying in the political landscape in which this is offered, in which a lot of this feeding is done, right? When there is not a prevailing or an important counterpoint other than someone saying something or issuing a letter or speaking outrage, I guess the question is, how do you then kind of create the space, Tim, so that you engage directly to show the ludicrousness of it all, just how silly this all is, right? But then also politically score the counterpunch. Because otherwise, something like that sits and lands and everyone starts clutching their pearls, which gives it a higher degree of seriousness than I think it otherwise deserves. But that's how I would look at it. I'm sure Simone's reaction would indicate others would see it slightly differently. But what would you think to that? thought.
Well, this is a fun exercise, Michael. Let's pretend we're workshopping this together for a campaign.
There we go.
I would go with what you just put out there, but I'd set the commercial up differently. I would have this bogus video that Trump just put out about the former president, and the voiceover would say, he wants you to think about this, but what you should really be thinking about is this. And I would cut to Jeffrey Epstein, because the whole reason Donald Trump engaged in this carnival of bizarre video clips and a fantasy about Barack Obama getting arrested is because he's sitting in the middle of a political moment that he can't control. He's got members of his own party.
Trump's doing cartwheels to avoid the Epstein fallout, but here's the thing, when the smoke clears, receipts talk, and Epstein had plenty of receipts.
And lots of Democrats calling for the release of more documents about Jeffrey Epstein, a disgraced financier and child predator who had a close friendship with Donald Trump and shared a lot of the dating practices of Donald Trump. And he doesn't want people to talk about that anymore. He's got an infuriated base, and he knows it could, if this sticks, cost him some traction with that base come midterms. That's a long way off still, but I think that's on his mind. He's thinking about the midterms already. So I think we should remind people that this is Trump trying to own the conversation, change the conversation, and get as far away from Jeffrey Epstein as he can, because I think that's an issue that will have salience with voters.
Well, you point out Steve Bannon has 15 hours of video footage with Epstein. Why has he not released it?
Isn't this fascinating? Yeah, Steve Bannon has this years-old footage, relatively recent, hours and hours, nearly a whole day of footage that he shot of interviews with Jeffrey Epstein. Meanwhile, Steve Bannon comes out and he says, you know, I have so many questions. We really need answers to Jeffrey Epstein. But when people say, and this is a guy who's more than willing to talk to the media in other circumstances, but when people say to him, hey, what's up with all that Jeffrey Epstein footage? Maybe does it talk about his relationship with Donald Trump? Steve Bannon's not talking. He says he'll release it in maybe a year. I mean, this is the question right now.
How is there not pressure on him to release it from the MAGA base?
I think it's a great question. I mean, they're disconnected. I mean, I do think there's this mounting pressure on Trump in particular. You know, we've seen just now Mike Johnson is talking about basically shutting down the House next week because they can't.
Bannon hoarding Epstein tapes like he's got the last season of a Game of Thrones. Why wait a year? Steve, drop it now? Or are you scared of what's on it too?
Put this Epstein bill in front of Republicans because they'll probably vote for it.
This non-binding Epstein
resolution.
Well,
a resolution.
it is that.
Didn't they already, I mean, in the House of Representatives, there was a vote. Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie had come together with legislation that would force the release of the files, and every Republican except Tom Massie voted to no on that. So they already voted, did they not, Tim? This whole thing about giving Mike Johnson trying to give the members cover is like trying to pull the wool over the eyes, okay? But I can see.
Well, and it's also, as Mike Johnson said he wants to give Donald Trump space. I think Michael Johnson is stuck in a tough place as well, because he's so beholden to Trump for his existence as Speaker and any power he wields as Speaker, that once he starts inching away from anything, he's got to claw that back just as quickly as he can. I think this idea that Trump directing his Attorney General Pam Bondi to release grand jury testimony is also a fig leaf that will be heavily redacted. It's a limited amount of information. It could take years for it to be produced. The reality is Donald Trump doesn't want people to see those files, and there's a logical reaction to that. Why doesn't he?
If Trump really had nothing to hide in those files, he'd be selling them as NFTs by now. So why the stall? What's buried in that paperwork?
Last Thursday you had a piece in the Bulwark talking about the media apparatus that's involved in this space with Trump. You noted Trump had to rein in only some of the more establishment conservative media outlets covering the Epstein story. He may have been able to do so, but Trump has to manage an unwieldy collection of small right-wing websites, YouTube channels, podcasts, and solo social media operatives. Therein lies the rub for him, because that last part, all of those little pieces make up the core of his strength to this point. And now that strength is being used against him. Talk about what that looks like, how that's played out narratively, and how it may have contributed to some of the polling numbers that we see more broadly in the MAGA community.
It's a very difficult situation for him to manage. I mean, he can call a couple people. He can call Charlie Kirk, for example. But when you talk about thousands potentially of MAGA influencers with clout and opinions, and they're all kind of at odds with each other. They're trying to steal each other's audiences. They want to look authentic. And so he can't call all of them. And even if he could, I mean, you have people like Tucker Carlson, who's independent now. You have people like Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, all these people who don't really want to toe the party line if it's going to cost them audience and money. And so Trump really, I think he's in a tough spot. And the irony, of course, is that this is a world that he created. And now, you know, he created a world beyond Fox News and talk radio. And now it's potentially turning on him.